In 1976, Dick Morgan had been a correctional officer at the Washington State Penitentiary for less than 4 months when he was told to work on the third floor of the hospital. The third floor was the mental health program. It was operated by Dr. William Hunter, prison psychologist and good friend of Superintendent B.J. Ray. Hunter operated a behavior modification program, whose methods were compared by one national expert to those used by Chairman Mao Zedong during the Communist Revolution and the Korean War. When asked what he should do on the third floor, he was told, look for swollen jaws, black eyes, bruises, anything that says that something's not right up there. In the following story, Morgan describes his first 2 days on the third floor of the hospital.
Too many people had hung themselves with their hands tied behind their back up on the third floor. I came to work one morning and the relief lieutenant told me to go up to the third floor and keep an eye on things. What am I supposed to do? The third floor was, custody wasn't allowed up there. That was an island that you just did not go to. You took inmates up to them, handed them through the gate, and then you weren't allowed on the floor. That was Dr. Hunter's program up there, and you couldn't do anything with that. And a lot of people died up there. Everybody rolled their eyes. And the inmates, if you wanted to get an inmate to go off, all you had to do was tell them you're taking them to the third floor, because it was the solid belief that if they were going to the third floor, they had a good chance of dying. I got up there and saw that things were, boy, really weird, not right. The civilian attendants carried the keys, but they unlocked rooms of patients at the order of this Goon Squad of inmates that was up there. So I'd made a tour of the floor looking into each of the patient's cells, and everybody except for this Goon Squad had been beat up. None of them would talk to me. They would actually cower in the back of the cell and say, get away from me, I can't talk to you. The next day I come to work and I get assigned to the same duty. I hear some screaming going on, and I run back to Snook and Lefevre and Malali were at the front of the cell of Guardy Sailors, and Guardy Sailors is standing at rigid attention on the inside of his cell with, I think it was Malali, reaching through the bars and scratching his face and cutting his face up with his fingernails. And I told him to get out of there. And he says, you better get me away from him because I'm going to kill him. So I get Malali away from him. Lefevre comes to me and says, he means it, he's going to kill him. And you better get Sailors out of here. Time rolls by and Lefevre comes back and says, don't go anywhere near Snook. He says, he plans on killing you because you're going to lock up Malali, aren't you? I said, damn right, I'm going to lock up Malali. He's assaulted an inmate. He says, well, don't go near him. He's going to try and get you close to the bars and he's going to try and kill you. So I hear a big bunch of racket back by Snook's cell, and he's tore up his guitar, and I go back there. He says, I've got some information for you. I said, so spit it out. He says, come here. I said, yeah, I'm not going to get any closer. And he keeps trying to get me closer to the bars, and I just smile and say, I'm not getting any closer than this. Snook. What do you got to tell me? And he just explodes, and he says, come here, you son of a bitch. And he comes out with the string of his guitar between two big pins. He says, I'm going to cut your fucking head off, you punk. And just starts foaming at the mouth. So I go back, try to get a hold of the lieutenant, to tell him, things are really weird up here. I mean, I've got a victim up here, that I've still got the perpetrator locked up, and what do I do? He says, I'll get with the lieutenant and we'll take care of it, come get Sailors or something. Time goes on. Lefevre's harping on me saying, if they're going to kill Sailors, get out of here, get out of here. So I call back, talk to the Lieutenant Henderson. He says, Morgan, where are you at? He says, I'm on the third floor of the hospital. He says, there's medical supervisors up there, right? And there's a guy that was just a complete lump of coal. He didn't call shots. He just opened doors when inmates told him to. I said, well, yeah, there's Mr. So-and-so here, whoever it was. He says, and these are patients, are they not? I said, yeah. He says, and they're under a doctor's care, aren't they, Morgan? I said, yeah. He says, well, then it's none of our goddamn business. And he hung up on me. I go, holy cow. I go back to talk to Guardy Sailors. Guardy Sailor says, "Get me out of here. They're going to kill me. They're going to kill me." And Lefevre's talking in the other ear saying, "Get him out of here. He's going to kill him. He'll be dead tonight." Boy, now what do I do? So a little while later, this hospital sergeant comes up and picks up Guardy Sailors and takes him downstairs. It's for a legal call, but I didn't know he was going to have it. He took him downstairs. And just at my shift change, I'm sitting there trying to figure out, now, what am I going to tell the relief officer? Hope this guy doesn't get killed on your watch. I made it through mine. I get a phone call from Captain Griffin. Captain Griffin says, "Tell me, Officer Morgan, what are you doing on the third floor?" So I was assigned here. He says, "And what were you told to do?" I says, "Well, I was supposed to keep an eye on things and make sure nothing happened to the inmates." He says, "That's right, Officer Morgan. So why in the hell have I got Guardy Sailor standing in front of me bleeding all over my desk?" I went ballistic and I said, "I called my lieutenant twice and I called my shift sergeant and they told me to forget about it." And I hung up on the captain. I'm probably fired now because I yelled at the captain. Phone rings again and he says, "This is Captain Griffin." And he says, "I'm sorry, Morgan. I didn't understand the situation. I want you in my office just as soon as you're relieved." Hung up. The relief officer showed up and I went down there. He says, "I want you to write up everything that was said to the lieutenant and to the sergeant." So I was mad. I wrote everything up. And Lieutenant Kaufman was sitting there watching me write it up, and he was just shaking his head like, I thought, geez, I must be doing something stupid here. And boy, was I.
As a new officer, Morgan was ignorant of prison politics. But by revealing secrets many wanted hidden, he had gone too far. He was next assigned to 8 Wing, one of the worst assignments in the penitentiary during the 1970s. Morgan was there for the next 3 years, until the inmates tore it apart.